How can feng shui help us? In what areas of our life can it help us?
Well, feng shui will address every single area of life, and very briefly that's career, our journey, relationships, parents, our boss, wealth, money, health, friends, children, our spirituality, the whole package. And essentially the issue is that our physical environment, i.e. our home, is a reflection of our inner energy, our inner intention. And if we can actually read the language of feng shui, then we see what is inside, what is going on in our life that maybe isn't working properly, or what may be stopping us having the best relationship, or earning money, or going on the career or the path that we're meant for. If we can read that language in our surroundings, in our home, then we can start to make changes. But as you say, it's about the energetic level and understanding the energy of that that makes it work.
Right. And can it always be fixed? Or do people sometimes literally live in the wrong building?
Always going to be a right space at the right time for everyone. And often people say, am I in the wrong house and should I move? And our answer would be, well, no, you're there for a particular reason.
Right.
You may have been called there by some obscure, convoluted manner to actually heal, be the catalyst for the healing of that house, or maybe something in your own karmic cycle, something from your past, or people connected around you. But you're there, you've picked up the phone to a consultant, you said come. We can actually see various levels of energetic imbalance that we then tune in, and we then will clear that space and give you the opportunity to move on or take the next step. It's about empowering the client to change their own life, and then it's like over to you.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people might say, oh, you know, this is silly, you know, houses are just piles of bricks, they're all the same. But of course they're not, because we've all gone in houses where we feel very relaxed, very calm, and don't actually want to leave, and we feel it's a very nice space. And other houses you go in and you really feel confined, and it just seems gloomy, and it's not a happy space, I suppose is the way to describe it. Some people's houses, you could just say atmosphere, couldn't you? You could switch house personality or house spirit for atmosphere in a house. I suppose a lot of people would put that down to lack of money, lack of things to do, and that kind of thing. But yes, I think you're absolutely right. They pack people in these boxes, and also you don't have a choice about which box you have, and you don't have a choice about who has the box next to you.
Exactly. If we look back to ancient Greece, for example, the architects were trained in music and earth energy, so they could actually feel where to place the building, and then trained in music so that they could actually design a building and the local surroundings in harmony. And once you've done that, what a fantastic basis for moving on and living.
Yeah, I mean, our architecture in this country went kind of crazy, didn't it? It started sort of in the 60s, where they suddenly discovered how to put up enormous blocks of flats, and people couldn't live in them, could they? Can they do something about this? Because obviously they're not going to go around and knock all these buildings down and start again and build them somewhere else, are they? This is the trouble. It's like roads, you can't uninvent what's already there.
Well, the work we're involved in is actually going to buildings, whether it's homes, offices, hospitals, and actually seeing how we can change the energy. Because once you've changed the really deep vibrational energy of a space, that's really the work done. And as most people might know, feng shui as moving furniture, it is not what it's about.
No,
that's like the icing on the cake.
I used to think that.
Yeah.
And obviously in a home, you want peaceful atmosphere, whereas in another place you might want a lot more energy to come through, mightn't you? Hello, welcome back. Now, you mentioned earlier geopathic.
Yeah.
What exactly is geopathic stress and negative energy, and why is it?
Reasons when water is under pressure in the conduits of the earth.
Well, we all know we get this stuff, don't we?
We create a protective structure around things like pylons and substations by creating like an etheric geometric framework, and this has actually been checked and sealed and tested safe. It's quite an interesting but advanced way of working, but it does
because
work.
pushing, it's bouncing against my thumb.
And what we did earlier is we actually channeled energy through to actually clear and balance the space. So
I mean, it takes a few seconds, doesn't it,
so
to
would
do?
you like us to
Yeah, I would
that
like you
again?
to. Maybe, do you both need to do it, or can one of you keep
both
talking
do it at the same
to me?
time, but
Well, I think both do it. It might be quicker.
Okay. This is how it starts before. They begin to vibrate and they begin to just edge apart. And I'm concentrating very hard on not doing anything.
So what we're doing is actually channeling pure, powerful energy through the space and actually changing the structure.
What should I be doing then?
Just breathing slowly and deeply, and then you're acting as a clear channel.
It's interesting that one side is going quicker than the other. So what is happening here?
Like the molecular level, the electrical level of the energy around you. So you were connecting to an imbalance of energy, and what we're doing is actually rebalancing to its normal harmonic level.
Right.
So that's it, we're there.
It's
So
quite
things
fascinating. I know I've tried dousing for water in the garden before, and the first time they start to twist in your hands, you just can't believe it. It's quite phenomenal.
Evidence of this, what we've just done with energy, is that if a house has got this kind of energy, forget feng shui.
yeah.
Because all this placement or enhancement is of no value.
Right.
Because you're enhancing the negativity.
And our house, people come in and they say, you know, how relaxed they feel there, how comfortable they feel there. And it is, have you noticed as well that if you go into a house where the relationship isn't very positive,
You can feel it.
you can feel it, but not only that, you tend to get invited into, say, the kitchen
Yes.
and sit around the kitchen table. Our house, everybody comes into a room like this and everybody sits on the sofas.
Yeah.
But
What
some
happens
people...
in a house like that, let's say that the relationship's gone downhill and they've been divorced and they sell the house, the next people who move in will actually pick up that energetic pattern, and they are likely to have a lot of stress on their relationship and a likely divorce. The same with bankruptcy. If a company takes over a business building that's gone bust, they are most likely to go bust themselves, unless you do what we just did a little bit with you, of clearing that really deep energetic vibration out of the whole substance of the building. And then you use the feng shui, you know, instruments and tools to actually start really enhancing for what you really want in life. Do you want better wealth, better relationships, better health? You can enhance that, but only when you've actually cleared the negative energy.
Well, when you consider that science is starting to accept that stones and rocks and stuff can store information, and are maybe the explanation for some ghosts, in that the stone has kind of videotaped the scene and plays it back, it actually makes a lot of sense.
I mean, as an architect myself, I've been practicing for some 30 years or so. And right throughout my sort of education, I've always worked with projects to do with sound, harmonics, geometry, proportion, because the whole universe is actually designed that way. When we look at the structure of the planets, their dimensions, how they relate to each other, they have musical harmonics. So if we understand that and we can bring those principles into our landscape, we create a better infrastructure to work from. And when we look at, for example, the first Emperor's Palace in China, he designed it to the constellation of the Great Bear.
Oh, right.
And so the energy of that star constellation, its vibration, its harmonics, its power, imprinted on our landscape, actually gives him the opportunity to have a better harmonious civilization and a greater power to rule the community.
Very far-reaching consequences. Tech situation. how would be, what would be a good way
Well,
to
this
go
is
about
something
that?
I'm often asked to do, and it's a fascinating, a great privilege to be in that
Oh,
position.
people are already opening
yeah.
up to that.
Oh, yes, very much
Good.
so. A few years ago, I built a new school building for Kew College, and I was allowed to total free reign within the budget, and it was designed to full feng shui, full sacred geometry, harmonics, proportions, the lot. I had an absolute heyday on it.
Great.
And the effect and energy it has on the children there, it's about education. It's about opening up and sharing information, the particular geometries that I used. And that is totally appropriate for schools and education. Very simple stuff that can be built in if you know how to use it. But the effects of putting it in at that level of education is quite incredible and very responsible, I think.
Right. Because people can consult someone like yourselves,
That's
and
right.
they can also get your video and CD-ROM,
Yes.
the details of which we'll put on the website, which is actually a journey through the feng shui heritage of China,
That's right. About 5 years
And
ago, I went on a
Tibet, Nepal,
journey. Yeah,
India.
Tibet was another one. And I love making movies, so I had a digital camera and put together these two movies.
Because we won't sort of diversify off into this too much, but each place, Nepal, China, Tibet, they all have their own versions
That's
of
right.
feng shui.
There are many systems. Feng shui, yes, it's a Chinese term, but essentially it's to do with energy. So if we take away the Chinese, it's to do with understanding energy. And when we look at the Egyptian civilization, the ancient Greek, the Cretan, they all have their feng shui, but they didn't
Yeah, I
call
think
it that.
I suppose it got a little bit of the Mickey taken out of it because the Chinese use a lot of symbolic things, don't they? They talk about dragons and they talk about, turtles and the hills being a turtle and not having a dragon outside your door and things like that. And people sort of go, ooh. But I suppose the kind of westernized version is a lot more
when
practical.
you understand the energetic principle behind that, and when we teach workshops, the dragon is yang energy. It's the big mountain, it's the sky. You need to put it into language that we relate to every day, and it's very simple. And the tiger is the yin, the darkness, the night. Very simple things that we live and know. With number and proportion and geometry, it's a universal language. So if we understand the language of number and the harmonic influence, so for example, if we had a square room, it will have a very stilling effect, a good space for meditation, but not good for ballroom dancing.
Yeah, it's like we were saying, you need quiet or active energy depending on what you're going to do in that space, don't you?
Yeah, and the proportion, the mathematical proportion of that space will actually create a dynamic energy that will either keep you still or move you at different emotional levels through the body and so on. But so if you know the rules, you can then create an emotion to suit a particular activity or a home or a business accordingly.
I mean, even going down to, sound is a very important thing, as you were saying. Acoustics of a room are a very important thing.
That's right.
Also, colour can be very, very important, can't it? I mean, everybody knows that different colours affect you in different ways.
But again, if you take it down to its component particle, colour is vibration, light is vibration, the proportions of space are a vibration. So all the time we're talking about vibration, energy, and we're picking this up all the time. It's getting very intermixed, and what we need to understand is how to separate and know what is creating what effect, and then you can rebuild that in somebody's space. If you're designing from new, it's a fantastic opportunity to get it 99.9% perfect.
So am I getting this right? When you look at the land, and what do you douse the land to find
first
out?
of all, it has to be the right piece of land, and then within that piece of land there will be an energy that you don't touch, that you don't build on, that you don't destroy. It could be sacred, so you don't go destroying sacred energies, sacred sites. The whole planning process, because the intention was to destroy the sacred grove that was in the middle of this site.
And they were ignoring synchronicity, which is one of my big things.
But what happened was as Eileen says, we doused it. We found the dragon, which is actually the energetic line holding the whole land together. And we said, right, build the buildings, 3 buildings, here, here and here. Now, all this actually I've got on my website, so people can have a look at those images. We designed this to what we discussed, which is amazing because architects just are very
But
arrogant.
he's totally open to it.
So they produced this design. It all went through planning really quickly after that because the intention on the site was completely different.
Yeah. And it's a shame that they'd been ignoring all the signs telling them that they were trying to do a wrong thing.
Will buy a house and they live in it for a bit, and then they want to improve their house and put an extension on. And but often what happens is
Change everything.
what they want to do is actually change something energetically, but by putting an extension to one side or another at the back, in one system of feng shui, Tibetan feng shui, which is a fairly simple one to use, you're creating either a missing area in relationships
got an
or
imbalance in
wealth.
wealth.
And
Right.
so unless you redress that balance in the design, which you can do, so you can do it.
I need to talk to you about my house, I think. Unfortunately, we've run out of time today, but perhaps you'll come back. Bye.
Thank you.